All right, welcome to part 15 of the Azure Functions project, where I'm building notifications using Azure Functions for when Twitch streamers come online. And I've got feedback here, so I've got to fix that. All right. Anyway, so part 15 of the Azure Functions project, where I'm building notifications for when Twitch streamers come online for the PowerShell Live um, collective group, whatever you want to call them, and send out notifications via Twitter and to Discord and Slack and whatever else we come up with in the future. Uh, so there has been one thing that's annoyed me since I made changes to the API early on, and that is that I kind of broke the way that my item potency works for the um, configuration as code for adding new streamers to the list. So basically the problem right now, if I get into code myself, I see you guys can see it just fine, but I'm not on it. All right. The problem here is that my configuration as code is just checking for the Twitch name. And it's assuming that if we have that Twitch name, then we've already registered it. So that means that if I were to change the Twitter name or the Discord name, that doesn't get updated uh, properly. So that means that right now, if I need to make a change to, let's say, um, Tyler, let's say that I need to change his Twitter name, uh, I would have to basically remove Tyler and then re-add him again with the right definition, because it wouldn't pick up the difference between um, the change in his Twitter name. And the same for Discord. The only thing that I would notice is if we changed his Twitch name. So if for whatever reason Tyler got a new channel and decided to start streaming on that one, I could change that and it would remove the old one and move it back in. But we want this to work the same for all three of these, and we want it to be a single registration per streamer, um, and support the Discord name and Twitter name. So what I need to do is add some kind of smart logic to this. Uh, the primary function we're going to be working with today is the uh, Twitch subscription registration. So this function here is what's doing my configuration as code. Basically, it's responsible for looking to see if a registration already exists, or if we have, that's weird, the music has stopped. Maybe a problem with pretzel rocks. Anyways, the uh, so this goes through the configuration as code from this subscription JSON that gets submitted to the endpoint. So basically, this gets done as a post payload to the function. The function goes through and looks to see if we've registered for this, and if not, adds it. And if there is a registration that is not in this list, it's set to remove it. So we need to address that. That's really weird. The pretzel rock's not working is kind of sad. So I'm going to try to restart that right quick because it's really weird without background noise. Hopefully that will be fixed. So while that's kind of loading, and maybe we'll get some background music, uh, the other thing that I need to do, and I've got another VS Code open for this, is that I need to do some testing and validation with what I'm about to do because um, I don't exactly know how this works right. My idea is to use some tuples to uh, work with the um, so that basically I can have all three keys working as a single kind of entity. It's a good use for tuples. You can compare against them and all kinds of things. So they also work pretty well in a hash set, and they also work pretty well in a dictionary key scenario. So we're already using dictionary keys, and I want to just continue that. I want to change the dictionary key type from a string to a tuple of string, string, string. And the three strings in there will be the stream name, the Twitter name, and the Discord name. And it does appear that Pretzel Rock is having some issues. That's very sad. You've been a solid service for me, Pretzel Rock. Um, you've been my rock, and I wish you were working right now. Um, in any event, the so what I want to do is I want to have a little .NET console app in here that I can do some testing around because I discovered that the tuples in PowerShell behave slightly differently than the tuples in C Sharp, so I need to make sure that my logic works right in C Sharp when I'm doing it instead of depending on what I know to be true in the PowerShell. So I'm just going to create a little app here, and I'm going to get some test things in place. So I need to add uh, var my tuple one equals tuple dot create a b c tuple 2 being the same and tuple 3 being slightly different. Okay, so this has got some errors in it. Why? Maybe restart the OmniSharp on here just in case. So basically, a tuple is kind of a immutable collection, right? So think of it as like an array or a list, but where the members can't be changed at all. So once it's created, that's it. Um, it you can't change. I can't say, for example, like take the B uh, or the D or B here, and later in the code change that tuple 3 to have that as being a B or not. So it's useful for a lot of things. My main use for them is generally that you can combine three things. So in our case, it's a stream name, a Twitter name, and a Discord name. Uh, Combine those three things and use them to compare against another thing. So My favorite example for this is a list of first names and last names. So you have a long list of people with first names and last names, and you want to make sure there's no duplicates in the list. Um, Now, like what some people would do is they would combine those together, right? So they would like make it a single string so that the first name and last name is a single string and then compare all of them. But that's not exactly accurate. Like, let's say that you had like Bob Jones, eh, but you also had somebody's first name was Bob Joe and last name Nez, right? Like, so it that's a kind of a contrived example, but it's possible. And if you combine those strings together, then Bob Jones and Bob Joe Ness would look exactly the same in their evaluation, and they're not. So what the tuple will allow you to do is to compare them uh, in a way that's kind of sane. So I am really saddened by the lack of background music. I'm gonna give Pretzel one more shot here. Yeah, it looks like for whatever reason I can't connect to it. Their site works for me, but the app doesn't. And you know what? I'm just gonna put up a be right back. I'm gonna try to troubleshoot this a little bit. Okay, no luck with the browser player either, so we'll just have to deal without background music. It's very sad. I like to work with background music, and I don't have anything else ready to work that's not going to get me some kind of muted recording or DCMA takedown or something like that. So DMCA takedown. Um, so anyways, I got three tuples defined here, and then I'm going to create a hash set because that's a way of kind of tricking out what the keys do in a dictionary or a hash table. So what are my hash set? New hash set. No. Hash set of tuple string string string. And then I'm going to go ahead and my hash set add my tuple 1. Then if my hash set dot add my tuple 2. So for those of you not familiar with a hash set, A hash set is a unique list. So when you add something to a hash set that already exists in the list, it doesn't add it again. Um, so you can, but you can add. It doesn't throw an error. What happens is you get uh, true or false. So true if it adds, and false if it already existed in the list and it wasn't actually added to the list. So if we did my add my tuple uh, false, that would mean that it was actually already in the list. So we want not because we're going to say uh, my tuple 2 is the same. Else, we're going to say my tuple 2 is not the same. And we want to repeat this, but we're going to do it with the my tuple 3. I need a semicolon there. So we do my tuple 3. So if my assumptions are right, since tuple 3 is different from tuple 1 and 2, I should get my tuple 3 is not the same, but since my tuple 2 is the same as my tuple 1, even though they're completely different objects, but their members are the same, I should get that's the same. So just to test that theory, we're going to do .NET run. And there we go. So we start off by adding my tuple 1 to the hash set. And then when we add my tuple 2, it doesn't actually get added to the list because it's already in there because it's the same as my tuple 1. So it says it's the same. And then when we add my tuple 3, since it's different from my tuple 1 and 2, it is not the same, so it gets added to the list, so that becomes true. So that kind of validates my um, assumptions about how this works, and now I can kind of use this as kind of a framework for while I'm testing in the other area. So let me switch back over to the other VS Code. So our problem here is that we create this dictionary called the current subscription dictionary. We also create another one called the uh, um, requested dictionary. And we use string and Twitch subscription. And what we're doing uh, for that is we're adding the Twitch name or the stream name as their as the key. So that's all we're using in our comparison. If we look down here, we're doing this based off the keys of these. We're doing some link operation called accept against the keys on that. And I can keep that logic the same, but what I do need to do is change the type of dictionary that I'm creating and what I'm sticking in it. So what I need to do for the dictionary is this needs to be a tuple string string string. So the key is going to be a tuple string string string, and the value is going to be a Twitch subscription. And then we also need to do the same thing on the uh, requested subscription dictionary. So we have to create the tuple here. So basically, in here, we create this dictionary, and it contains the uh, the subscription object, but this is the current subscription that comes back from the API. And the current subscriptions uh, don't get parsed properly to have the dash dash in the name, whereas what we do for the requested subscriptions, it does. So let me go to the browser and show an example of this so that makes a little more sense. If I look at the builds for this, and I go to this most recent one here and look at this. So this is like this is the result of that. We see that the current subscriptions don't have the dashes in them because they don't do that. So we have to do some logic to make sure that those are dashes in there. Um, so that's not too difficult. We can add some logic. I really should have just worked with this before when I was creating the model. So this is kind of a limitation of the model that I did for this Twitch subscription. Um, when I'm using dash dash as a kind of fake null because of the way that I'm doing the URL ingestion, and that's just a problem, right? Like uh, because I'm using this, when it gets parsed as nothing because it's null. But anyways, I can fix that at another time. Right now, I'm more interested in actually making this not be such a pain to update. Um, so I am going to add that to my to-do though. This Twitch subscription model. That way I know later to come back and look at that. Um, but going back to our code here, so changing that type obviously broke what we're putting in for this add here because this is supposed to be this is a string and it's expecting a tuple string string string. So I need to actually create the tuple to add in there. And since the current subscriptions are the ones that are lacking the dashes, we have to do some logic inside these. So the stream name is going to be populated. That's fine. The Twitch name and the Twitter name, I'm sorry, the Discord name and the Twitter name might not be. They might be null or empty or white space, and they need to be set as dash dash. So I'm going to do this is string um, current Twitter name and string current Discord name. And I'm going to do this right here to do cur Twitter name equal. Oh, that's weird. Why'd you do that? I just want this. So we're going to do the ternary operation here of uh, string dot is null or white space. And then this is Twitch, its utility. I believe it's this way. It's not current Twitter name, it's going to be subscription dot Twitter name. If it's another white space, we're going to replace it with this name null string. Like if we go to the definition here, we can see that it's the dash dash, but it's a nice constant I created so I could use it over and over again. And if it's not null, empty, or white space, then we're going to actually use it. We'll kind of copy this one, and it's going to be current Discord name. And instead of Twitter name, we're going to replace that with Discord name, and same with on the end here. All right, so that'll help us set those to the right thing, and then we're going to create the tuple here to we'll just have to do it inline because we're doing this in a loop. I don't think that I can change that, so we'll do new tuple string of the subscription dot Twitch name, which is what I was using before, and the then it's going to be the current Twitter name and the current Discord name. There we go. Pretzel is back. Background music is good. All right, so that fixes the current subscriptions. Actually, I need to do some things here. I want to make sure that yes, thank goodness it's Pretzel. Thank goodness Pretzel is working. But so on the tuple thing, the casing matters. So I need to lowercase all of these. So I might as well just do this. I also need to do current Twitch name. So that's going to be there, and we'll have to define this one down here. So I want to actually do some two lower operations on this, just to just so that they're all the same. I have to do that here on these two as well. So that way they're all lowercase when I input them, and then in here I need to do current Twitch name as the first key. All right. that way we're not having to do any weird extra equality. Thanks for the follow. Much appreciated. Because you can create your own, you can basically implement a tuple and create your own equality overloads. It's a lot of work, so I might as well just do these to lower. It doesn't matter, like case sensitivity in our matching doesn't matter because even with Twitter and Discord, the names are always unique regardless of casing. They're kind of case insensitive names. Um, but display-wise, we might want to maintain casing for certain things. But for just looking up and seeing whether or not two entries are the same, their casing doesn't matter, so we can just make them all lowercase. So we basically need to repeat this pattern with the um, request dictionary down here. So we can basically borrow this code and change it up a little bit. And instead of subscription, subscription is just this, so we just need to get out of this piece on it. And then this piece as well. And then this one, get rid of that. All right. So there's slightly different types. This one is a Twitch webhook subscription because it's the type that we get back. The subscription or subscription property on that is a Twitch subscription, which is what we're dealing with the requested ones. So we can also do this down here. I'm going to make this a little bit more readable by putting that on a new line. And down here, replacing Twitch name with this. Wrong place to do new line. There we go. So that should help a little bit with that. Now I've got a thing on accept here, and type arguments, numeral t source gonna be inferred from usage. Oh, that's weird. So can I not do accept on a list of tuple strings? Because that would be really sad if I can't. So I'll have to look. And this is why I needed this other application to test things out. I'm going to copy up here system link because I need to add that in the other one. Switch over to our tuple test program, import this, and now I need to create a list in here of these. So I'm going to create a var my list equals my list 1 equals not ilist, new list of tuple string string. My list dot add my tuple 1, my tuple 2, my tuple 3, since it's different. And then we're going to copy this and do mylist2 and add that. And then we're going to try to do enumerable dot accept. Oh, that's right. You can't do an iCompare on that. Let me just try that real quick while I'm sitting here. So originally when I was doing the string comparison, when I was doing accept on there, I was passing in this string compare, and we cannot use a string compare with tuples. That might be what's causing it. And yeah, that makes it go away. So um, maybe don't need to do that. But I'm going to go ahead and test that in the other app just to be sure that it works. This is going to be my list 1 and my list 2. I don't even know how to, would be a good way to display this. So this creates an IEnumerable. So I need to go through them. No, it sounds like Pretzel Rock died again. This is sad. Or is it just really quiet? No, it seems to be dead again. Ah, it's back. Okay. So this shouldn't do anything on this one, but we're going to do CW right line. This should be a tuple of string, string, string. So we're just going to do 1, 2, and 3. Item dot item 1. Copy this. Change this to item 2 and item 3. You access the items inside of a tuple based off of these things here, and I don't think you have to do value on that, but no. So we're going to give this a shot. It shouldn't do anything. I'm going to do this. Do some .NET run on that. Probably need to up the size a little bit on here so it's more readable. So yeah, it doesn't output anything because the lists are the same. There's no exception in it. If in I think this one, we'll see. Nope, it's the other way around. Yeah, there we go. So accept works on it properly. It sees that one's missing from the other list. So I'm fairly confident that this is going to work the way that I suspect it will in production. There's only like one way to test this. So I don't believe on the, let me switch back over here. I don't believe on the subscription add and subscription remove I added anything to like, yeah. Wait. Yeah, so I didn't add a special function to disable the subscription pieces. So on the notifications, I have like a disable notification option, and if yeah, so like if notifications are disabled, then we just exit early and we don't actually do it. We do some processing to make sure that it's right, but we don't actually uh, do anything here. So I didn't implement something like that on the subscription handlers, and maybe I should. Um, but since it doesn't matter a whole lot uh, right now anyways, I'm just going to test it live because that's just the kind of cowboy I am, being from Texas and all. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to create a new branch here called feature um, add better item potency for CAC configuration as code. Look at my updates here. I've got those two. So the changes that we made is basically we're changing the way the dictionary is formatted to be a tuple for the key and creating the stuff here. And after I get this working in C#, I'll show you how to do this in PowerShell in case anyone's interested in using this in PowerShell. I find this to be really handy for working with lists where I need to compare multiple things. Um, but that's all I'm really doing. It's kind of a simple change that'll give me take away a lot of pain from myself managing this. At least I really hope so. And let's go ahead and make that happen here. Stage changes. And better potency for configuration as code. Push. I'll go to Firefox. Hi, Tyler. Thanks for showing up. So go to repos here. Pull requests. It should say that I've got a new thing. We're going to do a pull request here. I'm just going to do a sanity check to make sure that looks right. It does. Looks exactly like we saw on the console. No surprises there. Then we'll watch the build, make sure the build succeeds. I'm going to go ahead and approve this and wait on the build. .NET Restore in the VS 2017 hosted agent is the biggest slowdown on all of this because not everything's there for the Azure functions, so it has to grab a lot of stuff. The actual like build and publish are pretty quick. So that's golden. Go back here, that's automatically done. There should be another build firing off. And then I'm going to be proactive here and stop my notifications functions because I already know from multiple times now that every time I try to deploy the function, the it complains about the file being in use. I have not yet had time to look deeply into making that less painful. So release should have a new release being triggered. Oh, that build's still running. That I'm going to go ahead and sit on this release though. Okay, that build did that. Go back and forth. Just waiting for my approval. Approve. Ship it. Yeah, but it's not the kind of workaround I want, right? Like ideally, I'd like to turn off this approval gate and then not have to sit on my Azure function and just have it deploy. Um, uh, but right now, that approval gate is serving as a reminder that I need to stop my Azure function. That's very sad. Sad times. And now it's done. So we can start the Azure function again. Function should be good there. I'm going to switch back to VS Code and start streaming the function log stream so that I can watch this as it executes some crazy. Okay, so that's good. I'm gonna go back here and go into builds and I have to get back into VS Firefox, get in the right window here. Go to my subscriptions build and I'm going to queue a new one of this. This is the automation build that actually does the configuration as code piece. So I'm just going to queue it from master and hope that it works. I have, yeah, there's a filter on it to not run if there's not a change to whatever, but I think a manual one bypasses that, so we're good. All right, so it did some good stuff. Requested, current, so that's good. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play around with removing my Discord name and re-adding my Discord name. So that's going to be fun. I'm going to just copy this off somewhere real quick, just so I have it. And then we're going to go back to VS Code, Firefox here. I'm just going to do this all in here because I don't want to go through everything right now. I'm lazy. Configuration, source, I need a new branch. New branch, CAC, remove Marky Kraus Discord. Let's put some. Man, I keep on misspelling my own last name so bad. Oh yeah, the Azure Azure DevOps, formerly Visual Studio Team Services, is totally legit. It is awesome. It's like GitHub and Travis CI and or AppVeyor, like Married or whatever your favorite CI is. So it's pretty legit. Pluses and minuses all around, depending on what you want, but we use it very heavily at work. Obviously, being a Microsoft company, we use Microsoft products, but it's I've grown to like it. Yeah. So getting on to the thing that I created here. So I'm going to go into my config subscriptions JSON, and I'm just going to edit this to remove my Discord ID. I spell my name right that time? Good. Commit, create a pull request, create. I just want to look at this files right quick because I didn't scroll down. All right, looks legit. Prove, complete merge, and then watch this build fire off. Yeah, I have it disabled on this project because I don't. I have this project as public, but issues are possible. It's under boards, so if I turn that on here, and then I were to refresh this page, there is a boards here, and in that there's work items and all kinds of stuff. So it's was originally built for more of like internal teams, not necessarily public stuff, but it can be used kind of similarly. It's a public functionality isn't quite like what you'd be used to in GitHub, but it's close. Anyways, I'm going to turn items back off on it and go back to the build on that. Yeah, so you can, there's different ways of configuring this. I chose the default, which is agile, but work items, there's bugs and other kinds of types of work items, so they're classified within a work item type. So work item's kind of a top level thing. Then you might have bug feature something else. I don't use the issue parts of this a whole lot. We use Jira for our tracking internally. So yeah. So this ran. So let me just make sure that yeah. So it queued for subscribe to do that and queued for unsubscribe that. So what what happened was, since I removed my Discord name, it needs to do two things. It needs to unsubscribe me with the Discord name, which is one URI, and then it needs to subscribe me with this one. So if I go to the VS Code to show where I am getting the log stream, we should see that, yeah, this one came in for Marky Kraus for a unsubscribe, and then there should have been one for this one automatically does Twitter name as, or Discord name, challenge, hub, unsubscribe. Yeah, it's gonna be up here. Oh, this is good. It's sending me multiple notifications for my stream being live and not and multiple notifications are going out. So that's but justify that's a validation that the work I did yesterday is working at least. Um, I don't see the subscribe link, but it could just be that I'm not getting the full picture here, which is fine. Uh, let me run the uh, build again and see what kind of output that we have in it. Queue this again. Which Azure subscription do I have? Um, so right now, this one is not tied to an Azure subscription. It kind of is. It's tied to the Azure AD of a Azure subscription, but I'm not actually using an Azure subscription with this piece. Um, and it would have been tied to one that I got for my Microsoft MVP award, uh, but it's not in use at the moment. So let's see what this looks like here. All right, so it has the registration correct. So it has that. So I'm going to add my Discord name back. So if I go back into here, go into branches and create a new branch from master called CAC. And for those new to the stream, CAC is what I use for configuration as code as a shorthand. Um, so we're going to do add Marquis Kraus Discord name. Go here, config subscriptions, edit, change my dash dash here to, I'm gonna copy this back from where I copied it off. Paste that in and commit, date, add Marquis Kraus Discord name, commit, create a pull request, double check the change looks legit, that's right, create, approve, complete merge. I believe you can set up Azure DevOps for free without an Azure subscription now. You can like do some limited things with a free Azure DevOps account. See, there's a free tier available for that. It doesn't require an Azure subscription. But looking at this one that ran, it queued for unsubscribe and queued for subscribe. So we're going to run this again and make sure that that works properly. Make sure that it's updated with the correct data. By the way, you can access this repository without anything too, if anybody's interested. I put the link in the chat there. So if you want to look at these builds that I've run and look at the source code, that's the link there. Um, so yeah, there it shows that the current subscription has that back. So this is working properly now. It's properly doing that. I no longer have to completely remove a user or completely and then completely add it back with the new stuff. So this is more item potent than before. Was a relatively easy change. So yeah, the free tier on Azure is pretty awesome, but I think you still have to sign up for a subscription and provide a credit card for the actual Azure account. But there is a lot that's included in the free tier once you have that account. Um, I personally don't know a whole lot about setting this up outside of this because every Azure subscription I've ever played with has either been provided by work or provided through my MVP um, award. So I I'm not really familiar with how it works as like an individual user. Uh, of more experience with AWS as far as an individual user goes. So I'm going to take a quick break, and then as I promised, I'm going to come back and show how to use this hash set and tuple methodology inside PowerShell, because I think that that's a completely underused tool in PowerShell that will help people's lives uh, tremendously with list processing. Um, so um, a quick break and then I shall return. All right, I am back, and as promised, I want to go over the tuple and list usage. So I'm going to continue with the theme of first name, last name. So I'm going to say that I have this list of names, and I'm just going to pick some names that we'll have here. Uh, so I'm trying to think of a good way to format this. I guess we'll do it like this. First name, last name. So I'm just going to use a comma separated list here for this, and we're going to have like Mark Kraus, uh, Corey Knox. So if I spell his name right, wow, that's three wrong letters in a row. I'm on a roll. Oh yeah, thanks. I will remove that. My bad. All right. So let me move this down. Go back to PowerShell integrated terminal. Corey Knox. We'll do Kevin Blumenfeld. Never actually tried to say your last name. Um, and we'll do Tyler. I don't know if he's still here, but um, all right. I'm sure I'm butchering all kinds of spellings here, but most importantly is that we have a list of things here. I'm going to convert from convert from dash CS. Mount variable uh, names. All right. So we do that. We get this right here. This gives us a names variable that we can use now. All right. So we have a list of names. So common thing. Now that looks good, but what happens if like, oh, well, I'm in here twice. And let's say that Kevin's in here twice, and because we really like Tyler, he's in here three times, right? So um, we want the common thread is that like you have this kind of craziness. So what happens is like HR, like I came in contact with this a lot when I was working with mergers and acquisitions and divestitures. We would be given these lists from multiple sources, and they would just be junk, right? Like, but you'd at least have a first name and last name. But we couldn't like find out what the unique ones were because there'd be multiples because they came from multiple sources and they would just paste in all over the place. So you would get junk like this. It would just be like this. You'd be like, what? I need the unique names in this list. Um, but like I said before, um, you might have a Bob Jones, and you might have a Bob Joe Ness, right? So, like I said before, some people like to take the names like that and they would just join them together. They'd be like, oh, names for each. I'm just going to do this because I'm lazy. Uh, and do like dot first name uh, and plus last name, right? Or just do this, and um, you get well, that's crazy. Like we need to up this list, right? So here's the problem right, with this, right? Like Bob Jones and Bob Jones, like would be the result of that. So you can't really do that in a meaningful way. Uh, so you really need to know if the first name and the last name are unique. Yes, there is a dark mode for Azure DevOps. Hold on, let me show that. I don't have it set on this one, but I believe theme dark. How's that? How's them apples? Does that make you happy, Shadow Core? Um, anyways, I digress. Uh, So so combining the names to look for uniqueness doesn't work in all situations. So um, what you can do then is that you can use this whole tuple situation before, and I'm going to do tuples, and I'm going to take the names, and I'm going to pass them into a for each object where I will create a tuple of these, and it's going to be, it looks a little weird if you're not familiar with how these kinds of things work in PowerShell, but well, that's very sad. So there might be something in the settings to turn on newer features and allow preview features or something like that. Um, I can't remember. Like I have all the like preview and stuff turns on because I do a lot of weird stuff in Azure DevOps that is definitely not production ready. But my Azure DevOps not special. This one is the one that I was showing is definitely not tied to my work in any way, shape, or form. So it has nothing to do with any kind of Microsoft super secret preview features or anything like that. It's uh, just the same as anybody else who could get an Azure DevOps one. Um, this would be how you create the tuple there of a string, and we're going to do dot first name and last name. All right, so we do this, and result is we have a list of tuples. Now that's not extremely interesting. Um, what if we want to just get the unique names in this? Um, so what we do then is we can use another cool type called a hash set. And hash set is like a hash table. You're not going to give me suggestions on this. It's really painful to type all that out. All right, so system dot collect. It's not giving me hints. Let me restart PowerShell session. Come on, give me hints. There we go. So it's system.collections, a generic hash set of, and this is where it gets really weird, right? We have to put this entire craziness in there. So of a tuple string inside of it. And do new, and we'll do unique list. All right. And what we're going to do is we're going to create this tuple in here, but we're going to add it to unique list. All right, so when we run this, we get unique list, which should have just the unique names in it. So you see that there's none of those funkies in it. We've only got the uniques in it, without also clobbering Bob Jones and Bob Jones. So that's cool, but maybe we want some notification about who's that. So how can we do that? Well, the if you the cool thing about the add function on a um, did I not show that up here? No, it did not. That's fine. When you do add on a hash set, it returns true if it's in there. So we can do something like this: if then we can say, wow, I'm like all over the place from being in C sharp. Uh, we can say is new and do dash f dot first name dot last name, and then else is duplicate. So we go here. What? Oh, I'm gonna hide this. I'm saving this to tuples, which is why that's not showing. There we go. Yeah, and actually Shadow Core, that's kind of a good thing. So I work in quite a few different Azure DevOps, and the reason why the dark theme isn't on this one is that I use the dark theme on my production one, so that when I see the dark theme, I know that I need to do things properly. So it's kind of nice when they expand it to have multiple themes. That'll make it really easy to see which one I'm on. And that gets really confusing because I'm in like 30 different organizations and tons of projects in all of them. So being able to and some of them have the same repo names in them. So like, let's say we have foo um, repo in one organization in project, we might also have it in another organization in project. So that's really helpful to kind of have a quick visual aid. So I'm not against that. So this is what happens then. We run this, and this was the original list that was created from that CSV. And now we see Mark Krause is new, Corey Knox is new, Kevin Blumenfeld's new, Tyler Lionheart is new, Mark Krause is duplicate, Kevin Blumenfeld is duplicate. So you get the point, right? Um, so you can kind of use that hash set for that. So that's a kind of a brief demonstration of using a hash set and a tuple in PowerShell to kind of quickly identify unique lists on multiple keys, so to speak. So this could be expanded further in like, let's say that we're going to add a ID here. Corey, Bob. This one is Kevin. This one is Tyler. And this one is also Marky Krause. This one is actually Kevin Blumenfeld. And this one is actually Tyler Leonhardt. And this one is actually Tyler L. And this one is B Jones. And this one is B Ness. Right? So we need to do a few things here. We need to change this to a string. Need to add this to a string. Add in the ID. And also do ID. So if we run all this now, we can see that it saw me as a duplicate, but it sees um, the Kevins, which have different IDs as unique, and it sees the Tylers, which are different IDs as unique. So you can kind of just keep expanding this out. So that's kind of a cool thing to do for uh, multiple key stuff. And tuple works for a bunch of other types as well. So you don't just have to use string. Like you could do with a pretty much anything. I haven't seen it not work right. The only thing that I was having trouble with earlier, let me switch over to my other VS Code thing, was in C Sharp for whatever reason. I was trying to do this. My tuple one, see, if my tuple one equal my tuple two, which they should be the same. Um, CW. They should be the same because they have the same values in them. For whatever reason, this was not working for me earlier. Um, yeah, so it didn't say they're the same, which is crazy, right? Like they should be. And in PowerShell, if I switch back um, here, if I create two tuples, I guess unique lists doesn't have those because they're unique. Let me just create two tuples. Uh, my tuple 1 equals tuple of string new a b. My tuple 2, and we do my tuple 1 equal my tuple 2, it'll be true. So I don't know, maybe it's falling back because in C Sharp, if I go back here to this other project and I change this from equals equals to equals, now it should say that they are the same. Yeah. So I don't know. Equal equals is supposed to work according to the documentation, but it's not. So I have no clue what's up there. Anyway, uh, I got that working. I've demonstrated how to do some cool things in PowerShell for once and not just all C Sharp. So I think I'm going to go ahead and close out the stream for now and thank everyone for watching and hope I see you back on future streams.